Okay, one difference. Jesus was raised by God, not by human interaction. That's a big difference. It wasn't Jesus raising somebody. It wasn't Elijah or anybody else. It was God, and God alone, without any human interaction. And I imagine the women that went to the tomb were all expecting, well, we know what they're expecting. They're expecting this dead body to anoint once again. You have the 3 days in the tomb, you anoint the body, and then after 3 days you're moved to a more permanent place. And then the tomb is open and available for the next person. There was that 3-day waiting period. I guess it's, you think about the Spirit. According to the Jews, the Spirit leaves after 3 days. So you've got to be in the specific spot for 3 days, and then your Spirit leaves, and then you can move the body. Well, hadn't been quite that time yet. So they were expecting Jesus to be there. I don't know if they just forgot or just Jesus didn't tell them specifically when he was going to be resurrected. But it's not what they expected. They didn't expect an empty egg. But they got something more, this angel dressed in white. We assumed he was an angel. We assume probably he rolled the stone away too. Did he show up just for them? I imagine so. He is a messenger from God. And what did he say? Don't be afraid. Come and see. We've heard that before. When Jesus went to find his disciples, especially Philip and Nathanael, Philip says to Nathanael, you've got to see this guy. This is Jesus. Come and see. And several times throughout the Gospels, there's that come and see directive. And there's something important about that, coming and seeing. And so the angel directs him, come and see. This is the place where he was laid. And you can see for yourself, he is not there. But go and tell. Go and tell the disciples that he'll be meeting them in Galilee. And then you can come and see again. I think that's important. The gospel message is that Jesus died and was resurrected to new life. And in doing so, gives us new life. And in that new life, we go and tell. There's always that other part to it. The disciple part of come and see, come and learn, come and be a part of. And then there's the apostle part that says go. Go and tell what you've seen, what you've experienced. The hand of God in your life. Go and tell them to come and see the Christ presence in their lives. They run to Galilee, and as we know, they see the risen Lord. And from there, tell the story. And then in the Acts of the Apostles, we have Peter. Peter, the guy that spoke without thinking sometimes. But at this point, he's refined as a speaker. Amazing what he's gone through in the life with Jesus as a disciple. Now he's an apostle telling the story. And later we have Paul, who was a persecutor, telling his story of his transformation, his change of heart, his change of mind. And we have other apostles too. The acts of the Spirit of God through the lives of people. Tell who Jesus is and what he's done in your lives and in the lives of others. Tell of his ministry, the healing, the acceptance, the invitation, the mercy and love he showed to all peoples, especially those who needed it most. Tell of his sacrifice, his heavy heart upon learning about his journey to Jerusalem, the betrayal of his beloved disciple, and the abandonment of his friends at his last moments. Tell of his resurrection. The third day he rose from the dead. You know this. Tell the story of how he gives us new life in God. Share in the good news of words, through words, thoughts, and actions to all people. And the resurrection, through the stories, through the remembrances, through the actions, lives. Like our loved ones who have passed. to tell their story, to tell who they were, to tell what they meant to you, keeps them alive in our hearts. The story of Jesus for 2,000 years has been told and retold and told again, and yet there are always new experiences for us in our lives, either personally or friends or we hear about how God affects the lives of God's people in most meaningful and important ways. The life and the power through the resurrection continues. And today we celebrate especially the resurrection after 3 days of hard stories. And now to the climax. Jesus is risen. His prophecies have come all true. We have faith in God. We have faith in the words of Christ. We have faith in the life of Christ for us. He didn't dwell in the tombs of the dead. He moved on to the living in Galilee to continue his story with his disciples, with all people, with us, and for those we tell and for those we share with in thoughts, words, and actions. The disciples were big enough to take the forgiveness of God and move on in their lives. Nothing is too late. For after all they've done, he still appears to them, offering them peace, offering them love, offering them a new way of life in a new way. And it remains with us today. We celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ in a new way in our lives. God is alive in our lives today. He is risen. Hallelujah.